Have you ever noticed things that no one else seems to see? Secrets hidden behind smiles, silent lies that sustain the world, and felt that this vision distances you from everything and everyone? Today, you will discover the danger of seeing what others do not see, and why, according to Jung, this perception can be both a gift and a curse. If topics such as psychology, philosophy, and the darkness of the human soul interest you, subscribe to the channel now. It all begins with a silence that feels too strange to be natural. It is not the absence of sound, but the absence of understanding. You are surrounded by people, all laughing, talking, immersed in their little bubbles of routine, yet there is a veil between you and them. Something seems out of place, as if the whole scene were a poorly rehearsed play, and you were the only one noticing details that escape ordinary eyes. It is at this moment that you understand. You are not outside reality. You see reality too intensely, too deeply, and that in itself is an exile. You begin to notice the voids hidden between the lines, the subtle glance that shifts, the hand that trembles for a moment, the laugh that arrives milliseconds late. Every gesture, every word, every pause reveals something others prefer to ignore. Seeing too much is not a harmless gift. It is a burden. It is feeling the weight of the world before it is revealed to anyone else. Carrying a consciousness that resonates with what most choose to forget, and realizing that this resonance places you in constant tension with your surroundings. Jung called this dangerous perception because seeing beyond the surface turns you into a silent threat. Your presence becomes a mirror reflecting uncomfortable truths and making others feel exposed. You do not need to say anything. Simply being attentive is enough to trigger unconscious alarms. The world reacts to the mirror you represent, not with gratitude, but with rejection, fear, and hostility. And as you notice this, relationships slowly unravel. Not because you fail, but because seeing too much makes others uncomfortable. People begin to label your intensity as problematic. You are too intense, you think too much, you need to relax. But what these words really mean is, you remind me of what I have fought my entire life to forget. Your lucidity is disturbing because touching the shadows of others awakens memories, feelings, and fears they tried to bury. It is in this silent confrontation that the solitude of the sensitive is born. You start to doubt yourself, questioning whether there is truly something wrong with you, whether the complexity you carry is a defect or the truth. You try to adapt, but adaptation is only a disguise. Smiling when something inside you screams, pretending not to notice the emptiness behind others' gestures, balancing yourself in superficial interactions. All of this tires more than any physical effort. Every day, you realize that extreme sensitivity demands sacrifices. Losing innocence, carrying the pain of the world, absorbing the emotions of others without anyone to give them back. And still, this perception cannot be turned off. It is not a choice, it is destiny. The perception that isolates also creates a cruel paradox. The more you observe, the more you notice patterns, lies, and cracks that most ignore. The more you notice, the harder it becomes to integrate. You become an involuntary receiver of the pains and tensions others repress, absorbing fears, frustrations, and anxieties they cannot bear to face. This ability to deeply feel what is invisible to others is both a gift and a curse, and the price is the growing distance between you and the world. Seeing too much is an act of courage and suffering. Every detail you capture, every truth you see, is not just information, but responsibility. You begin to perceive the fragility of bonds, the constant theater that maintained relationships, the solitude hidden behind smiles. And paradoxically, the truer you are, the more you distance yourself from those who cannot withstand the intensity of your vision. The perception that isolates demands daily learning. learning to live with your own lucidity without being consumed by the world. It is in this state that you begin to understand the meaning of what Jung called the beginning of dangerous consciousness. Those who see too much can no longer return to comfortable ignorance, can no longer turn off their perception. The world continues to function superficially, but you perceive the truth behind the collective mask. Every interaction, every social moment, every false smile becomes a reminder of the cost of seeing. You are alone, yes, but not powerless. Because seeing too much is also the first step toward the deepest lucidity. And even in isolation, you begin to touch what few dare to even imagine. While most are content with superficialities, you feel as if you are trying to breathe underwater. Empty conversations, programmed laughs, automatic comments, all resonate as white noise in your mind. The soul begs for depth, for authenticity, for something that transcends the banal. But the world, addicted to appearance, offers only masks and filters. And it is in this contrast that the solitude of the sensitive is born, because no one can accompany you in the weight of the perception you carry. Every social interaction becomes a silent test. You try to share thoughts that really matter and are met with empty glances or awkward silences. What is vital to you is irrelevant to others. And this disconnection is not your fault, but an inevitable consequence of having a consciousness that cannot turn off. It is as if you were born to feel depth while the world around you immerses itself in superficiality, ignoring what hurts, what transforms, what truly exists. This constant tension between your desire for authenticity and the need for social coexistence creates a kind of existential exhaustion. Every false smile, every word without substance, every superficial interaction consumes more than physical energy. It consumes the soul. And even trying to adapt, you realize that adaptation is only a fragile armor. Behind it, consciousness remains alert, absorbing every detail others choose to ignore, as if carrying a mirror of the entire world. The solitude of the sensitive is paradoxical. Being among people has never been so lonely. You perceive the falsity disguised as cordiality, the pain hidden under the veneer of happiness, the routine that anesthetizes. Intense perception makes collective company almost unbearable. Every social encounter brings the feeling of displacement, as if you were present only to observe the play of others, unable to participate without betraying your own lucidity. And the more you try to protect yourself, the more you realize that no shield can contain this perception. Absorbing the pain of others becomes almost automatic. You become an involuntary receptacle of the frustrations, fears, and sufferings everyone represses. Every word of comfort you offer is silently a weight you add to your own burden. It is both a gift and a burden. You are needed, but no one is prepared for the intensity you carry. Isolation, therefore, ceases to be a choice and becomes a necessity. Withdrawing from the world is not a sign of misanthropy, but a survival strategy. It is necessary to create protective rituals, establish boundaries, and learn to ask every day, what here is mine and what belongs to the world? Only in this way is it possible to maintain integrity without losing yourself completely. Solitude ceases to be a luxury and becomes a vital requirement, a form of purification and reconnection with the self. And even in this isolation, intensity does not disappear. It continues to pulse, revealing hidden truths, illuminating shadows, and exposing realities others prefer to avoid. Sensitive consciousness is like a fire that burns silently. It warms and burns at the same time. Every moment of solitude becomes a space for reflection, but also a mirror of what you absorb from the world. It is an eternal cycle of awareness and exhaustion, of clarity and pain, that only those rare individuals who share this perception can understand. And still, there is hope in the solitude of the sensitive, because by remaining faithful to your own perception, you discover that you are not completely alone. There are others, few, who also walk this threshold between depth and exhaustion, who also feel the weight of seeing beyond. Encountering these rare souls is intense, almost sacred, a silent recognition that shared pain transforms into a bond. The solitude of the sensitive, although painful, becomes a path to authenticity and true connection, a connection the superficial world could never offer. Seeing too much is not just a gift. It is a destiny that demands its price daily. Every detail you notice, every hidden shadow, every silent lie you detect weighs on the mind and body. It is not a choice to carry all of this. It is an inevitable consequence of possessing a perception that exceeds the limits of most. You begin to realize that the world was not made for those who see what others ignore, and that this intense awareness can be both illuminating and corrosive. The burden of absorbing others' pain manifests in subtle but persistent ways. Constant fatigue, insomnia, unexplained tensions, pains that medicine cannot explain. The body and mind begin to signal that they cannot sustain this level of perception without consequences. Every superficial social interaction becomes a silent drain. You hear laughter, see gestures, perceive hidden intentions, but no one sees what you absorb. No one notices the invisible battle waged within you. Then comes the silent doubt. Is there something wrong with me? But the correct question is not about defect, but about intensity. Jung said that those who see too much are destined to live on the border between lucidity and delirium. Deep perception is a double-edged sword. It illuminates truths, but also reveals the fragility of everything the world has built as comfort. The risk is not seeing too much. It is trying to ignore it, pretending not to notice, just to fit in. The attempt to adapt turns into weariness. You learn to smile when you want to cry, to agree when you want to contest, to remain calm when everything inside you screams. But this adaptation is only a mask that the world recognizes as normal. Behind it, consciousness remains vigilant, capturing signals, absorbing pain, reflecting shadows that no one else wants to face. Every effort to adjust increases exhaustion because pretending becomes an act of resistance against your own nature. The emotional price also shows in relationships. Those who cannot withstand the intensity of your perception distance themselves, not because you failed, but because the presence of someone who sees deeply destabilizes the illusion they maintain of normality. Every superficial relationship becomes a source of discomfort. Every false smile, a reminder of the cost of seeing too much. Intensity turns you into a walking mirror, and reflecting other shadows inevitably means being affected by them. And yet, there is an almost instinctive need to remain attentive. Ignoring, turning off, becoming superficial is not an option. Lucidity cannot be erased. Jung called this participation mystique, the unconscious fusion between individual and collective. And you are, involuntarily, a channel of this collective consciousness. Carrying the pain and truths the world refuses to face is both a gift and a curse. You feel more, perceive more, and pay the price with fatigue, loneliness, and silent exhaustion. The path to surviving this intensity is not to flee, but to learn to create boundaries. Withdrawing, silencing, sleeping, disconnecting for brief moments, establishing emotional barriers. These actions are not selfish, they are vital necessities. Deep awareness needs rituals of purification, moments to process, reorganize, and reintegrate. Without this, the perception that illuminates also destroys. Learning to balance seeing too much and protecting oneself is the key to not succumbing to your own lucidity. And even with all the weight, there is a horizon of reward. Remaining faithful to your own perception, absorbing the world without losing yourself, and seeking those who share this intensity creates rare and profound bonds. A gaze that meets another conscious gaze transforms solitude into connection. The price is high, but the return is unique. authenticity, truth, and genuine connection. Those who see too much learn that the pain of seeing is also the path to touching what few dare, and that even in isolation, lucidity can be the key to understanding the essence of existence. Surviving your own sensitivity requires discipline and self-awareness. It is not enough to merely notice the world. You must learn to filter what you absorb. The intensity you carry is a gift, but without limits, it becomes destructive. Jung taught that those who see too much must withdraw, create barriers, and understand that not everything is their responsibility. Every tear of others, every silent shadow you detect, must be acknowledged without becoming a weight that destroys you. Establishing boundaries is not selfish. It is survival. Learning to say no, choosing when to expose yourself, selecting relationships that respect your depth. These are indispensable tools. The world insists on draining your energy, but you must protect your own spirit. Solitude, when conscious, is not punishment. It is healing. Withdrawing allows you to reorganize thoughts, rest the mind, and restore the strength necessary to continue seeing without losing yourself. Emotional purification rituals become essential. Meditating, writing, walking in silence, practicing daily introspection. All of these help differentiate what belongs to you from what belongs to the collective. Every intense sensation that arises must be processed, not ignored. Learning to observe without over-absorbing is constant training. You cannot allow the perception that illuminates your life to also consume it. Jung believed that this awareness requires self-respect to remain functional. Emotional nutrition is as vital as physical nutrition. Choosing carefully what you read, watch, and who you relate to is necessary to preserve psychic integrity. Superficial conversations, sensationalist news, environments heavy with negativity. All of these silently undermine sensitivity. Learning to filter stimuli is learning to survive. It is an act of self-love and protection that ensures you remain a beacon, not drown in the darkness you perceive. Another strategy is connecting with the rare similar souls. Finding those who share this depth transforms solitude into connection. Jung reminds us that true community is not numerous. It is made of meaningful encounters. A gaze, a word, a shared silence can be more healing than any superficial interaction. Recognizing and valuing these souls is vital to not completely lose yourself in the perception the world rejects. Accepting your own intensity is fundamental. Trying to be like others, pretending to be superficial, yielding to the pressure of normality is emotional suicide. Jung affirmed that lucidity requires courage. Seeing too much is inevitable, but trying not to see destroys the soul. Embracing your perception is embracing your own humanity, no matter how painful it is. It is recognizing that pain and deep awareness are inseparable, and survival depends on honoring this reality without completely sacrificing yourself. Caring for the body is caring for the mind. Those too sensitive absorb not only emotions, but vital energy. Sleeping, eating well, exercising, breathing consciously, all contribute to strengthening resistance to emotional overload. Jung understood that body, mind, and soul form an inseparable triad. Ignoring one weakens the others. Physical care becomes a ritual of protection and recovery, essential for those carrying the weight of the world within themselves. Finally, surviving while being too sensitive is learning to balance lucidity and rest, absorption and filtering, pain and pleasure. It is knowing that seeing too much is a destiny, but living fully depends on self-care and awareness of your own limits. Intense sensitivity may isolate, but it also illuminates. It allows you to see truths few dare, touch rare souls, and experience depth where others find only surface. Surviving is not fleeing from intensity, but learning to walk with it without losing yourself, until you find those who also see, feel, and understand. We have reached the end of this journey through perception that few dare sustain, through the gaze that illuminates and burns at the same time, through the weight and the gift of seeing what others do not see. If you recognized yourself in every word, if you felt the impact of seeing beyond masks and superficialities, subscribe to the channel now, activate notifications, and walk with me in this universe of lucidity and depth, where together we can understand, reflect, and transform the way we perceive the world and ourselves. These 2 videos in front of you are not here by chance. And if everything you believe about yourself is only a reflection of someone else's gaze, click now on one of the videos beside this one and start breaking this mirror. You will have to risk the click. So, which one will you choose?